Hey guys, today I want to talk with you about nail dragging fields. We normally nail drag fields shortly after a rain event. Depending upon the field's readiness is when we'll be able to get out there and attack the field to open it up to get it going again for either tournament or league play. A few things that we need to take with us when we head out to start nail dragging. Obviously, take a Toro Sand Pro out with us. That'll have the nail drag attachment on it. Okay. The other few things are field rake. Always need a field rake take along with you, especially if there's a couple wet spots that need to be addressed that we can't necessarily drive the Toro onto, the Sand Pro onto, but also we can go ahead and get it opened up a little bit to either let it dry out or to possibly add some drying agent to. Okay. The other things that we need to take with us, that we definitely need to take with us, 3 base plugs and a base tool. We want to make sure to remove the bases once we get to the field. Okay, so that allows us to work in between the base pass and not have to worry about, obviously running the drag or the nail drag into a base, which we don't want to do. So without further ado, let's head outside and check out the situation that we currently have. So we're here down at field 4, and as you can see, the turf is starting to dry up top, and it tells us we're ready to go. And so we're checking over the field, seeing if there's any standing water areas on the field still that need to be addressed. And so I look towards home plate and I still see water there. And so we have to address that. So there's home plate, and as you can see, there's a nice sized puddle. And so what you can do, you can either take a backpack blower, which is what I'm doing here in this example. You can also use our puddle sucker that attaches to a 5-gallon bucket, as long as you have some electricity nearby, and obviously a very long extension cord in some cases. But here, what I'm doing is I'm just working this puddle out of where it was at. And so, will you get all of it out? Probably not. But the main thing is get it spread out so I can come back and rake it and allow it to start drying while I work the rest of the field. So I've done that now. I've raked over that area. And as you can see, I pulled the bases and put in base plugs. And so now we're ready to start with the nail drag. All right, we're ready to start nail dragging now. And so I start in between the foul lines. And the reason why I do that is I really want to just do one single pass. And so if we work in a normal circle like we would when we drag the field, I'm going to end up going over certain areas a lot. I'm going to overlap, and I don't want to overlap when I'm nail dragging. The reason why is I don't want to move a lot of material, and I don't want to break a lot of material up. All I want to do is make channels for the wind to go through. And as you can see to the left corner of the upper screen here, you can see where the flag's blowing. And so I'm trying to open up the field, trying to make grooves into the infield to where the wind is going to blow through easily. This may not always be an option, but it's something to keep in mind as you're going through. And so I'm working here in between the foul lines, because eventually when I get done, I'll come back around, I'll do full circles around the outside, but right now I'm just working on the middle of the infield, because this is the most important surface that we're concerned about. If we can't get this opened up, then we're in trouble. And so, because if you can't play in this area, you're not going to be able to play a game. It doesn't so much matter what the foul territory looks like. We can come back and address that. So what we have to do is be careful when we nail drag. So again, the Sand Pro has, it's utilized not only at ballparks, but also at golf courses. And I'm sure there's other things that's utilized for. And so, but we don't want to set the nails all the way down. You can see that last pass I just came through. That's a really good pass. And so you can see on the other 2 sides there, got a little bit deeper than I wanted to. And I started out here deep, and then I raised it up a little bit. And now we're making a nice channel without digging too deep. I mean, the main thing is we want to create grooves. We're not looking to plant crops. And so we want to make sure we're just making these grooves good, and to give an airflow we're providing that channel again for the wind to run through. And obviously the sun's doing its job as well here. So it's very important, as I went through this, I made sure that I stayed away from base pegs, and then I obviously want to stay away from the where water sprinklers may be on the infield dusters. And so when I got done, as I got done making this final pass there, I ended up coming through and making a large U around the base pegs at second base, and stayed away from the base pegs at first and third base. And you can work on the inside or outside of them, but the main thing is we don't want to run the nails right over the top, because there's a good chance we could clip them and make dents, and at worst we hit an infield duster. And again, here we are, with another $45 head we have to replace. We're trying to minimize those mistakes. Will they happen? Yes. But we want to try and minimize those as much as possible. So now what I'm getting ready to do is I'm setting the teeth of this Sand Pro down, and then I'm coming over here on this other side to show you. I'm going to move this lever down at the lowest point, so it's making contact. And then I'll pull the additional drag off the top here, off the nail drag, and lay it down. And the main reason we use those teeth, in case in some areas, as you saw, where the nail drag got a little too deep, and so as we run those over, because now I'm going to try and run perpendicular over those grooves. So I'm pushing all the dry material that has been sitting on top now. I'm going to put that back into the ground, and again, that's going to help the field dry even quicker. And so I'm going to run over perpendicular with that. But again, back to the teeth. The teeth will help break up any large material that gets clumped up together as I go through nail dragging. It happens. Sometimes, like I said, a portion of the field may be ready and a portion of the field may not be ready when we try to get back out. Sometimes we have a tournament and we're trying to rush back out and get the fields ready so we can start again playing games and such. And so we want to make sure that when we come back through, we definitely use those teeth in case there's a buildup of material somewhere we can help break down, and the teeth will help do that. And then the drag, as you see as I'm coming around, there is not a lot of material hanging out on top of the drag, and that's a really good sign because the material is dry enough, it's falling back through the screen and sticking on the field, and so any material, all the material is staying in its location, which is what we want. We don't want to start picking up large quantities of material and dragging it around. So I'm going to keep working around. And now, as I discussed earlier, when we're nail dragging, we don't want to overlap. We try to minimize overlapping as much as possible. But now, as I'm starting to go around the field, I can overlap as I'm dragging because the more we drag, the better the field's going to play. And so we want to remember that, yes, we want to get the field ready so they can play, and the park is hopping again. We got the concession stands open, and we got field rental coming in, but at the same time we have to think about player safety first and foremost. And so that requires us to make sure that all the grooves that we've created are being addressed. And so here I am on the shortstop side of second base. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hop back up here, and I've already hit a couple. You can see I've already started doing some small circles here. As you can see my trail or my tracks coming through here, and so I'm going to keep doing that. Again, obviously all the balls in play are going to be in between the foul lines, and if I can come through and do some small, if time allots, if I can come through here and do some small circles and do some overlaps, really help knock down any small ruts that I may have created or were already there. The field's going to play fantastic. And so our fields play the best when they're wet, when they have a little dampness to them. Again, it plays a little softer. So if a field's playing a little bit softer, our fields play a little softer. That means we're not going to see a lot of bad bounces. And at the same time, everything's going to roll true on the infield the way we can drag and get everything rolling on it. So again, you can see that, again, the screen on the drag tells you everything what's going on with the field. So we're not seeing any material build up. Every once in a while, you might see a little bit sitting on top of that drag screen, but really it's falling, it's going right through and staying with the field, and that's what we want. Again, we don't want to move field material. So here we are looking at the lip. The lip looks a little wet, but the main thing is we want to leave the lip area alone. We don't want to get that area. We want to try and stay away from the area as much as possible. If we get that area, we end up cutting grooves in that area there between the lip and the infield. that's going to possibly come back and haunt us because either the material may get pulled on into the infield or it may migrate onto the outfield. And either way, if it does, it's going to change. Again, a ball that's hit in that direction towards the outfield could possibly ramp and obviously hurt a player and not play true to the way the field's supposed to play. And so we want to try and leave that area alone. We can address it later by just hand raking through if we need to, but we really don't want to use any machinery whatsoever. Even when it's nice, it's a beautiful day out, we still want to stay away from the outside and just worry about the lip area by just, again, manually just going through with field rakes and just making sure everything's nice and level, and we have true rolls and we don't have lips that ramp up and possibly hurt players. And so I'm speeding up the video now. Again, now I'm working on the second base side here, and just going through, hitting everything once. Again, just working over, trying to work everything as much as I can perpendicularly over the grooves that I've cut already with the nail drag. So, and now I'm going to come back in here, I believe, and start working some smaller circles. So as I'm, just side note, there we got some smaller circles coming back through now. When I'm working in between the bases, over by second base, the size of the drag can fit in between like the 60-foot, 65-foot bases. So that's not an issue, just to run the drag through there so I can drive in between that area. And I've done that now, and you can see I've done some small circles there in front of home plate as well. All right, we came to field 4. It was a little damp still, but we could see it was ready to be nail dragged as the turf was starting to dry. And so we addressed all the areas of concern, which was, in this point, was only at home plate where we still had some standing water. And then shortly thereafter, we pulled the bases, made a mental note of where all the base pegs are, and they are marked. And so we stayed away from those once we started nail dragging. Again, doing single passes when we nail drag and not overlapping as much as possible. And then after we got done nail dragging, we put the drag down, we put the teeth down of the Sand Pro to give it a nice finish. We overlapped as much as we possibly could to assure that the field was going to play as true as possible. And as we did here, it's ready to play ball once again. So thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, just let us know. Thanks.